She's running. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Wait. No. I know what you're saying. You're saying, what? Erika Kirk is running. She's going to run for president. It'll be this time. This might be a soft run, 2028, whatever it is. She's running. And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute. You got to be crazy to run. You got to be delusional to run. You've got to be, starting to make sense? Let me explain, my friends. But first, this critical word from our sponsor. Last year, we talked about Alaska, a powerhouse of mineral wealth with a long track record of responsible development. Now it's back in focus with support from the Department of Defense and Department of Energy and the reopening of the Ambler Road project under President Trump. Momentum is building fast. Vizsla Copper, trading as VCUFF in the U.S. and VCU in Canada, has taken a major step forward. The company now owns 100% of the Palmer project, a high-grade asset believed to hold billions in in-ground value. It was even named by Alaska's governor in a memo to the White House as a priority for domestic critical minerals. And here is the headline. Washington just rolled out over $42 billion in support for critical minerals in early 2026 alone. We have seen this before. Similar backing sent other Alaska explorers up over 200%. Vizsla trades at a fraction of that value. Bottom line, America is rebuilding its mineral supply chain and domestic supply is winning. Big thanks to Vizsla Copper for making today's video possible. My friends, the whispers started almost immediately after Erika Kirk, that's right, Madam Erika, stepped behind the formal podium bearing the U.S. presidential seal at Dream City Church in Phoenix on the 17th this past week. Flanked by American flags and speaking to a crowd primed for midterm mobilization, Charlie Kirk's widow, and we all grieve in different ways, delivered remarks that sounded less like a grieving successor, rallying the base, and more like a carefully staged audition. Within hours, X lit up with speculation. Erika Kirk is running for president in 2028. That's what all of this is about. This is a soft launch. You heard it. You read it. Are they crazy? Sure, they're crazy. But what if they're right? Famous SCTV line. The phrase soft launch also is kind of telling because it implies calculation, not spontaneity. Erika urged 80 to 90% voter turnout in key states to fortify the red wall for the next decade. She warned of forces trying to tear this country apart, blamed the negativity on people chasing clicks and influence, and influencing the algorithm to maximize profits. And she contrasted that with the actual work of building, getting out the vote, and spiritual revival. Sound familiar? See? Veiled? Hardly. She declared that her late husband gave his life for that work and praised Donald Trump as the only leader who truly understands us. On paper, it reads like standard fare, like standard conservative rally pap. But in reality, it was a masterclass in narrative control delivered by someone whose own public image has grown increasingly strained, sullied, contaminated, fetid, feculent, just rancid. But interestingly enough, she draws people in. This is what should scare you. Trump's like that. Trump says stuff sometimes that frankly is batshit crazy, but you love it. You can't stop watching him. She's never boring. Boring is a kiss of death. J.D. Vance, chrome rust. Compared to this, dear God, this is something. She has shown, her reactions in the past couple of months since she assumed the leadership of TPUSA. I mean, let's be blunt. The optics are jarring, and I'm being kind. Just days earlier, Erika had pulled out a major TPUSA event with old JD in Georgia, citing very serious threats. I'm doing a lot of air quotes today. I should stop that. Threats that didn't rise to the level of credible danger, according to the Secret Service, and she was there. She was there in the hangar. She looked out and said, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, mama doesn't go out for this crowd. Oh, no, no, nay, nay. Critics and people like us savaged her, including the one, the only, the inimitable, the ineffable Ms. Candace, the princess, the queen of sapience, of salience. Candace openly questioned whether the cancellation stemmed from, well, poor ticket sales and bad turnout and sagging enthusiasm than genuine security concern, especially when JD's there thinking, no problem here. And the contrast is unflattering. Skipping an event with the sitting VP sitting there over alleged threats and then appearing days later at a high-profile rally with the president. Threats gone. Threats all gone. Everything's fine. No problem here. Delivering polished remarks from a presidential-style podium with a seal. See, this isn't the behavior of a reluctant steward, hesitatingly and reluctantly carrying her husband's torch. Oh, nay, nay. It looks like somebody who's testing the national stage waters. Think about this. While conservative movement is still kind of processing the whole trauma of Charlie Kirk's September 2025 dispatch, she's over it. She was over it from the moment it happened. And the speed with which some supporters leapt to 2028 presidential run speculation, I think, reveals more about the vacuum in post-Charlie TPUSA than about Erika's actual qualifications. If you dismiss this, if you say, oh, come on, that's crazy, you don't understand how she works. Erika Kirk is 37 years old. She's never held elected office. Trump didn't either. She has no legislative record. Trump didn't either. No executive experience. Well, at the state or federal level government, Trump didn't either. And no demonstrated foreign policy depth. Her primary credential is being Charlie Kirk's widow and having been handed the reins of TPUSA and the crown of whatever. That inheritance is real, but inheritance is not a governing resume. You see, Turning Point has always been an activist youth organization, focused on campus culture and all that stuff, and that's terrific, and voter mobilization. Not a farm team for presidential timber. Positioning himself as a potential commander-in-chief soon after tragedy feels less, like organic leadership, of course, emergence and more like, opportunistic brand extension, but that's who she is. Do I have to remind you that's who she is? That is precisely who she is. That's the way she acts. The speech itself offered little substance beneath, of course, the emotional appeals. And by the way, she's got to build a different repertoire in her speech. She always looks like she's either going to cry or she's giddy or you got to explain to her, you don't cry all the time. Not everything is looking up to this guy, that mid-level looking up and looking at the angels or whatever. She'll work on that. But let me tell you something, when she speaks, she turns out, and when she owns X, that Candace and others are going to be coming in. I'm going to be there, you're going to be there, we're all going to be there saying, what's she going to do? And you're going to break down everything she does. She might be an inadvertent genius. She might be somebody who's accidentally a genius. Calls for high midterm turnout are important, but they are also the bare minimum expectation for any conservative organization. You see, the vague attacks on people out there who are actively trying to tear this country apart, in her words, an algorithm chasing negativity, read like standard culture war boilerplate, without naming specific policies or threats or actionable results. You don't need that. Praising Trump's perseverance is safe ground, but it also underscores a deeper problem. Erika's public role increasingly appears tethered to, what would you call it, proximity, propinquity to power, rather than independent vision. And she introduced Trump, praising him effusively. Not only that, they're kissing and received a cheek kiss on stage, a moment that quickly went viral and drew its wave of online ridicule and speculation about optics of power. It's even a kiss, an air kiss, and that's it. No problem. She can't look. She does that, and look. Maybe she's a genius. Maybe we're the tards. Maybe we're the ones who are not good. Maybe she says, I know exactly what I'm doing. Every time she does anything, we're talking about her. But by the way, worse than all this, the timing lands amid growing internal conservative friction. Candace Owens and others have publicly clashed with or distanced themselves from elements of the TPUSA orbit. And I'm being kind. Not only that, the quote MAGA orbit. Questions about Erika's leadership style, event attendance, handling of security narratives have all multiplied. And the happiest widow memes, however tasteless, however base and mean, did not emerge in a vacuum. They reflect genuine unease about her, among parts of the base, of her base, about the tone, the speed of her public grieving, and all that stuff. The subsequent political action. Hey guys, remember that one? That creepy coffin photo? And sharing deeply personal open casket moments again. Emotional videos, dramatic statements, shortly after the assassination, invite scrutiny and ridicule. And when that scrutiny and ridicule arrive, defenders cry attacks on a widow. But public figures who leverage personal tragedy for institutional and political positioning cannot reasonably demand immunity from criticism. You can't have one or the other. The 2028 speculation also collides awkwardly with Erika's own prior endorsement of J.D. Vance for president. He may be over with anyway, by virtue of the fact that Bibi Netanyahu said, he reports to me every day. He's my boy. Translation, he's my bitch. That's exactly the way they came across. It's exactly. And I don't see President Trump or JD clarifying that at all. At TPUSA's America Fest in December, she explicitly backed Vance, saying the organization would work to get my husband's friend J.D. Vance elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible. Now, just months later, segments of the internet, I think, are interpreting her Phoenix speech as her own soft launch. Remember, this is Erika. Don't give me this nonsense about, that doesn't make any sense. Sense has nothing to do with this. Well, she'd be crazy. Crazy has nothing to do with it. Everything she does is crazy. But by God, she does anything. And we're talking about it. And this, of course, creates the illusion of either inconsistency or calculated ambiguity or whatever you want to call it. And she's always keeping her options open while basking and glowing in the cleave, the warmth of presidential stage proximity. Stagecraft, she's got it. It might be excessive, it might be inappropriate, but you talk about it. And by the way, neither serves the movement well. Conservatism doesn't need another figure whose primary qualification is proximity to tragedy or some kind of inherited institutional power. The post-Trump era will demand leaders with proven executive competence, intellectual depth, and heft is what I'm about to say. Heft and depth. Policy command, and the ability to unify a fractured coalition without relying on emotional appeals to a murdered husband's legacy. Erika Kirk has shown skill at mobilizing young conservatives and maintaining TPUSA's brand visibility, but that is a far cry from the demands of the presidency. The rushed speculation also reveals, by the way, a kind of a discomforting truth about parts of the right, a tendency to anoint successors rather than going through the process. Anointing these people through narrative momentum rather than rigorous vetting. There's no vetting anymore. And showbiz. Charlie Kirk built Turning Point through relentless work, intellectual combat, and genuine ideological conviction. And handling the organization and handing it, I should say, to his widow out of some kind of loyalty is understanding in the immediate aftermath of loss, but treating that transition as automatic qualification for higher office is nuts. But everything's nuts. They said the same thing about Trump. We just had basically a president who was for 4 years walking around incontinent, yelling, "Who ordered the veal cutlet?" And he was handcuffed to some radiator in a root cellar in Wilmington. Nobody said anything about that. Then you had Kamala, this logo-lalic, verbally incontinent buffoon, this jadrul, and what? She's worse than this? Seriously, Erika's worse than Kamala Harris? My lint brush is better than Kamala Harris. So don't give me this stuff. It's not out of the, let me tell you, dismiss her at your peril. All of this risks turning a movement into a family enterprise or personality cult, which is a fine. Moreover, my friends, the soft launch narrative conveniently distracts us from the pressing questions about TPUSA's direction. Under Erika, attendance and enthusiasm at certain events appear softer. Internal drama and public spats have increased. The organization's influence among Zoomers and college students and all these folks, once, by the way, a core strength, now face new headwinds, to put it lightly, in a shifting cultural landscape. And instead of addressing these challenges head on with transparency and results and conviction, the focus now seems to be on shifting towards national spotlight moments and a unique kind of a popularity momentum and presidential whispers. And none of this diminishes the horror of Charlie Kirk's demise or the pain his family continues to endure. I would think, I presume his children for sure, and his parents. Where are his parents? Are they around anymore? What's happening? Tyler Robinson now faces serious charges. And the preliminary hearing process will test the strength of this case. But grief, my friend, however profound, does not confer political competence or immunity from accountability. Public life demands scrutiny, especially when somebody steps onto a podium after what has happened, with the presidential seal and delivers remarks that prompt immediate speculation about seeking the office itself. Erika Kirk, do not underestimate her, as I think Bush said. She may prove to be an effective organizational leader in her own right. She may also grow into a formidable voice in her own right, a voice in conservative activism. But let's face it, MAGA and the right is through. What the president is doing, this war, whatever we're doing, has fractured so many aspects of the party and the movement and the platform. She may not be she would be a disaster, but since when does competence and qualifications have anything to do with elections? But the leap from widow turned CEO to potential 2028 presidential contender, that is enormous. And the current signals, the podium optics, the vague rhetoric, the rapid, vapid rumor cycle, the contrast with the Vance event cancellation, this do not inspire confidence. They suggest calculation, specific calculation, deliberate calculation over conviction, branding over substance. And the conservative movement deserves better than some kind of woman like this, and inherited mantles and presumed leadership. Soft launches built on tragedy. Nay. It needs leaders forged in debate, battle-tested in governance, and chosen reservoir. Are we bringing up the Korean War? Stop it. Chosen for ideas rather than emotional storylines. If Erika Kirk truly intends to pursue higher office, she should state it plainly, lay out a detailed policy vision, and subject herself to the same rigorous examination any other candidate would face. Until then, the Phoenix speech and the 2028 rumors look less like destiny and more like maybe a cautionary tale about conflating personal loss with political destiny. The right has work to do. Real work, as Erika herself, I think, correctly explicated. That work, by the way, requires clarity, not carefully staged ambiguity. It requires accountability, not defensive cries of widowhood whenever criticism arises. And it requires, my dear friend, leaders who earn their platform through merit, not proximity to martyrdom. Do you understand what I'm saying? Listen to me very carefully. From a very, very selfish point of view, this would be one of the greatest things ever because Candace Owens will be all over this. She will be over this in a way and in a position that nobody can even imagine. Her genius, her forthrightness, her stentorian voice and logic will meet this head on. And Candace loves resistance. Look at what this Laura Loomer's doing. Going after her real estate holdings. You know what Candace says? Bring it on. But let me leave you with this, my friend. If you think this is nothing to think about, if you think this is, oh, this is silly, there's no way Erika possibly, really? There's no way she can run? There's no way she will run? You have no idea. If you want rational thought, if you want lucidity in this world, you're wasting your time. This is a world that doesn't even know what that means. And when it comes to politics, you can forget it. Watch very carefully what she's doing. Watch. And watch what our own Ms. Candace does. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to like this video? Are you going to hit that little bell to be notified of live streams and new videos? Are you going to subscribe to the channel? Are you going to tackle the particular questions that we have subscribed or dealt with this? Good. Because what's important is, if you think this is a joke, if you think there is no way, if you think that Erika Kirk running for George Santos was elected, Eric Swalwell was elected, Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, you mean to tell me that her vapidity, her intellectual nescience, her gray matter deficit, perhaps diminution of required and requisite ability? Do you think this? I mean, if you do you think that this epitomescent kind of a stuff that you're throwing at them is going to have any relevance? I don't think so. Because if you think it's impossible for Erika to run and even win, you don't know politics.